technology is always a solution in the crisis. So technology will be really handy. There are multiple areas in which this technology would be adopted. One area is in the conduction of admission tests. The other area where technology definitely will play a most important role is in the learning space.
For online education to really become mainstream and enroll millions of students rather than hundreds of thousands of students, we need to have online degrees that are accredited by the various agencies.
My message to all the students and the higher education stakeholders is we need to double our efforts in this time in order to sustain and keep our economy afloat.
In India, we have to look at technology and education 4.0 as actually providing education to the uneducated, people who are not getting quality education.
Education 3.0 was nothing but technology driven. This is now going to be a permanent feature and is now going to figure in all the teaching learning activities of times to come.
I would like to welcome you to the season 3, chapter 35 of College Dunia Connect. It is an initiative by collegedunia.com. This is your host Priyanshu, and I would love to introduce College Dunia to our panelists and our audience. College Dunia Connect is an initiative to enrich the user experience at collegedunia.com, where we try to bridge the long gap due between the vision of top management and the students. It also serves as a platform to bring together education industry dignitaries to contribute to an insightful discussion. A little introduction about College Dunia. College Dunia started in 2014 with humble beginnings, and in short span of 6 years, we have grown into a strong team of 1,000 plus employees with 10 plus offices pan India. Our traffic and engagements have grown exponentially in the past few years, and we have also launched new products under College Dunia umbrella like CD Social, CD Events, CD Study Abroads, and many more are in the pipeline. As we all know, 2020 has been an unprecedented year almost, and even though we faced many challenges, I'm very proud to say that 2020 was the year we emerged as a market leader in the industry. Being the flag bearers of performance-based campaigns in India, we have transformed the market to shift towards the ROI-driven and result-oriented campaigns backed by data. I would like to introduce our audience and our panelists for the topic, about the topic for today's panel discussion. The topic for today's panel discussion is how higher education institutes in Aurangabad rose up to the challenge of pandemic and the way ahead. So I would like to begin by enlightening our audience with a brief introduction of each of our dignitaries. So we have with us Dr. Santosh Bhosle. He is the director of Maharashtra Institute of Technology. He has total 29 years of work experience. He is a gold medalist in his PhD. He did his PhD in mechanical engineering and MBA in HR. He has published 33 papers, and 5 candidates have done PhD under him. We welcome Dr. Santosh in our panel discussion. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Priyansh. Thank you so much.
Next, we have with us Dr. Nilesh Patil. He is the director of Marathwada Institute of Technology. He has a total work experience of 26 years. He is an expert in the field of additive manufacturing. He has a teaching and research experience of 24 years. He is currently having more than 65 lakh worth of project under him. He has published 28 journal articles. He has 59 publications under him, and is currently the Associate Dean of Executive Council of Babasaheb Ambedkar Technological University. With this note, I would like to welcome Dr. Nilesh Patil to our
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Uh, Thank you, sir. Next, we have Dr. Abhijit Wadekar. He's the principal of PES College of Engineering. He has more than a decade of experience in teaching civil engineering. He has done his PhD in structural engineering. He has 37 publications under him, and he has 35 citations. With this note, I would like to welcome Dr. Abhijit in our panel discussion. Next, we have Dr. Vijaya. She is the Vice Principal of Jawaharlal Nehru Engineering College, MGM University. She has a total 26 years of work in the field of computer science and engineering. Her specialization are in the field of soft computing and remote sensing image analysis. She has international publications of. She has 22 international publications and one book publications. And with this note, I would like to welcome Dr. Vijaya in our panel discussion. Thank you so much for joining. Next, we have Professor Govind. Professor Govind is the principal of High Tech Institute of Technology. He has total 17 years of work experience in the education industry. He has published 10 research journal publication, and he has a patent in his name for onion harvesting mechanism. With this note, I would like to welcome Professor Govind in our panel discussion. Thank you so much, sir, for joining.
Thank you, Priyansh. Thank you.
And now, sir, coming to the topic, in every crisis, there are always those who refuse to go down and rise to the occasion. The COVID pandemic gave us no shortage of organizations and individuals who refused to let their world coming to a grinding halt. The education institutes in India can be seen in the same light. Cancellation, delays, disruption may have slowed them, but these institutes rose up to the challenge and did not let the education cycle come to a complete stop. With this note, I would again like to introduce everyone to the topic of the webinar. The topic for today's webinar is how higher education institutes in Aurangabad rose up to the challenge of the pandemic and the way ahead. So, sir, with this note, I would like to initiate the discussion. So, my first question to Dr. Santosh is: has COVID-19 brought a positive shift towards digital learning, or will classroom teaching gain its essence back?
Yeah, the digital learning has been definitely improved after the pandemic started. And we all know that since last March we are facing this situation. However, all the faculty members in various engineering colleges have tried their best that they can learn the technology required for delivering the classes at the earliest, and also well supported by their own institutions as far as digital infrastructure was required for it. And definitely they have done their best possible things. However, I still believe that we are traditionally used to have the face-to-face learning in college campuses, and that is a better form of learning, in fact, because there is a lot of interaction that takes place in the classroom, which is not possible in online classrooms itself. So that is my say on this topic. That's all.
Right, sir. So, sir, I would like Dr. Nilesh to carry forward the discussion from here. Sir, I would like to ask you, do you think the digital learning is here to stay, or do you think that the classroom teaching will gain its essence back?
See, based on whatever we have experienced during last almost 1.5 years, because of pandemic, we all were forced to go in the digital mode of teaching and learning. And definitely we all have tried our best, our faculty members as well as our students, so that they can incorporate this new change in their habits. And definitely, because my institute is affiliated to Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Technological University, and we had a structure where continuous assessment as well as NPTEL and online courses were given credit of 20%. So students were already involved in learning through NPTEL or SWAYAM platform. And this particular opportunity helped us to strengthen this activity. What is my take on this is, although there are some limitations of digital teaching and learning processes, because there is no peer-to-peer learning, and although students come together digitally, it has got limitations, and the energy transfer among peers as well as energy transfer among the student and teachers, that is going to be a limited thing in digital processes. However, it has got certain advantages. So I look forward in future as hybrid mode of teaching and learning process. There are certain things that is conduct of practical, making your hands dirty, using the machines and equipments by visiting the laboratory is essentially done by the students on his or her own, by his or her hands, and that too by coming into the laboratory. And that is the very key part of technical education. We cannot become a good engineer without going into the laboratory and conducting the experiments. However, digital has added a value because the self-learning aspect has also been inculcated among the students, because self-learning plus, so I look forward as a hybrid model, and that will be a sustainable. So that's my take. Yes.
Sir, I would like Dr. Abhijit sir to share his thoughts on the peer-to-peer learning that Dr. Nilesh sir has mentioned, and about the hybrid model that he has mentioned.
Okay. Manchu, as rightly said, my previous speaker, Dr. Santosh Bhikre and Dr. Nilesh Patil, and Nilesh also mentioned about curriculum of the Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar University, where we have 20% of curriculum which the students have to take up by online course, which was already there in the curriculum by NPTEL or by SWAYAM. Add to this, again, I would say the students as well as the faculties, they have got themselves acquainted with the digital learning. Now, preparing the slide, going to the class and delivering the lectures is one. Rather, they have one interacting with the student. But in case of the digital learning, rather for a teacher who is delivering a lecture, he does not get that much of feel whether the student is understanding or not. That is one of the drawback, disadvantage of the digital learning. Whether it is reaching to the students, unless and until there is no interactive sessions, no conversations or a dialogue between the teacher and the student, till then the digital learning is not that much effective. I believe in, as far as a technical institute, the college has to run on the campus. Definitely the digital learning, whether if we are required to connect with the industry or some other courses, it is possible. It is definitely going to benefit the students. It is going to add certain credentials to their qualifications by digital learning, by NPTEL, by doing certain collaborations with the industries, and many more things.
Right, sir.
I believe that we did not many collaboration. It was possible for us during this pandemic period in 1.5 years. We could collaborate with the industries, we could collaborate with many EdTech organization, and we could, like Coursera, I would say. So every student could learn good things, could get the certificate transferred from Oxford and many more organizations. So that is one of the advantages of the digital learning. But I sincerely feel the students, engineering students on the premises and learning engineering education is definitely going to help.
Right. So basically, sir, every college, every institute had to adopt the digital learning due to pandemic. So I would like to ask Dr. Vijaya ma'am, ma'am, apart from technology adoptions, which other initiative helped your institute rise up to the challenge of COVID?
First of all, I thank you, College Dunia, for bringing all of us on one single platform, especially in context of pandemic. Now, to answer that, we know when we say adoption, adoption is taking something and accepting it as one's own.
Yes.
But in this context, while we say adopt, or we have adapted ourselves by taking something and changing it to suit our requirement, one's requirement. So while adopting technology, I think we have adapted few aspects of social responsibility and gone close to humanity. This has happened throughout the globe. At institute level, we utilized our resources like our mechanical workshop along with few volunteer students, skilled faculty, student volunteer as I mentioned, to manufacture face shields, sanitizer stand set, and later it was distributed in the society. This definitely has percolated a good lesson in our students. To deal the setback at mental level, our institute has started online yoga sessions. Our teachers, few of our students have joined, which were open to all. I must mention that our psychological testing and counseling center, which has proved to be so successful, especially during these challenging times. Moreover, this pandemic was like a pause, and we utilized this in a constructive way. While going on virtual platform, as my all three colleagues have mentioned that we have gone for digital, we equally stressed upon faculty upgradation program. This was the time where we have thought of upgrading our faculty. We have initiated infrastructure upgradation as well as for new norms, as per the new norms of education. So what I think, pandemic has evolved us to be more creative, flexible, and progressive.
Right, ma'am. Thank you so much. So I would like Professor Govind to join in and would like him to share a few thoughts upon this question. So, sir, apart from technology adoption, which other initiative helped your institute in institute rise up to the challenge of pandemic?
Definitely, sir. We adopted that is a digital technology for conduction of the classes in our institute. Most of the faculty, they becomes familiar with the learning pedagogy or learning management systems. But along with that, adoption of this technology, along with that, we have some initiatives we have created, or we have given some initiatives to the students that we have that arrange some FDPs for the faculties. Now we know very well that that AICT also gives us chance to attend the various FDPs, and through that FDPs we develop our faculties. Faculties they means participated in such a FDPs like FDPs that organized by the AICT. Some of the FDPs that are also organized by the Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada Technological University, and these FDPs develop our faculties, and we are also motivated students that to go for the advanced courses that sir indicated that Dr. Wadekar sir is given us an that idea about the Coursera. So some of the students, means all students, we are instructed them to go for such types of certifications, and we are also giving an insights, and we are also that is focusing on completion of the NPTEL courses by the students and the faculty in our institute. So one of the initiatives from our institute that is for the faculty and student point of view, that to develop our faculty. So development of the faculty and utilizing the whatever the faculty development program organized by the regulatory body, that we are utilizing that all that is programs organized by regulatory body. And we have also organized some of webinars, that is that webinars depends upon the national education policies. We have also organized some of the webinars on the opportunities in the foreign countries for our students. Means they know about what type of opportunities are available in the different countries for our students. We are also organized some of the webinars from our alumni. That is that we have a few alumni from the IIT Indores. So they contribute to our institute and they deliver, they interact with our students, and they also gives a positive approach to our students. And in this way, sir, these are the some of the initiatives. And I built a teacher guardian relationship between the students and the faculty. Means during this testing time, our institute that utilizes this testing time to means build up the relationship between the teacher and the students. Means there will be we develop a good relationship between the mentor and mentee here. So such types of initiatives we have done. We have prepared some COVID posters through our institute, and with the help of these COVID posters, we advertise about whatever the rules and regulations given by the government of Maharashtra and government of India to us, that wear the mask, sanitize the area, and whatever it may be, that we have circulated to our students time to time, whatever the guidelines coming to us from the government, that guidelines also we are circulating to our students. And we are also ready to, we have given our data to, that is regulatory body, that we are able to provide some place for the COVID centers to our, if required. So we are ready to provide the space for the COVID centers. So in this way, these are initiatives build up a relationship between the students, faculties, and that is because of that relationship. So we rise up in the challenge of the COVID. Priyanshu sir.
That's really great, sir. From CSR activities to alumni inclusions, that was a really insightful answer. So I'm just opening up this question to all the panelists. So I would like Santosh sir, Nilesh sir, and Abhijit sir to pick up this question and let us please introduce us to any of the initiative that your institute has taken apart from technology adoption, which really helped your institute in rising up to this challenge. I guess Santosh sir, you are on mute. I'm not able to hear you.
Yeah. Am I audible now?
Yeah.
Yes, sir, you are.
As far as my institute is concerned, should I you are going to speak, Santosh sir?
Shall I
It's
speak?
fine, sir. Yes, sir, you can.
Okay. I'll speak.
Okay, please.
Okay. So what I was telling is that what Dhagesh sir has said. Beyond that, after the technology is being adopted by the teachers as well as institutes and students, one great advantage we could see through this is we could invite the professors from foreign universities to guide our students. That is great advantage, which earlier, though it was possible, we were not thinking much about it. As we were thinking that person will have to come to India and then it would be possible. But now, because of this pandemic, we learned that very easily we can contact the professors from foreign university, and they are readily available. don't say no to your call, and they are very more than happy to guide your students. So that one great advantage we could see. Second thing which I want to say is that during this entire pandemic, there are two different situations. Though the pandemic is still continuing, one situation is the complete lockdown situation. Another situation is when there is no lockdown. In one first situation, everybody was at home. Industry people were at home. Educational institutes, faculty, students, everybody was at home. But slowly the industry started, and now the industry is still continuing, and it is going to continue even if the third wave or fourth wave comes. So after that first situation, what we could realize that students can go to industry. For example, in my institute, final year students, they have the compulsory implant training. So last 6 months, all my more than 500 students are getting training in the industries. And if they are found suitable for that particular industry, even they are giving them the job offers. So this is a great advantage. So this advantage can be transferred even to the third year students, second year students. Many students are coming up and requesting that I want to go in this industry for 1 month and I'll work there. And that is a great learning, more than books I can say, or even what we can learn in the classrooms. So that is my take from this. That is a great initiative that everybody can adopt. So
that was really nice, sir. That was really great. So, sir, Abhijit sir wanted to speak on this topic. I would like him to join in.
The institute from which I come from, we have the objective is to promote education. Not only education, but to promote intellectual, moral, and social development. So, during this pandemic period, we could get ourselves associated with many social groups. There are so many groups, such as one of the group which is named as Manav Seva Group of Aurangabad, which is run by the alumni of the People's Education Society's College of Engineering. And some of the professionals of Aurangabad, the group named as Make Them Smile. They're all the engineers, doctors, everyone. The press reporters are also associated. So, in the lockdown period, as rightly said by Dr. Santosh Bhosle, there are two phases. One is the lockdown period, and another one is an departure lockdown. And in these particular periods, when it was totally lockdown, there was many problems. The people could not get the food also. So the PS College of Engineering initiated with this particular event, and every faculty contributed in the donations. And one important thing, that none of these things were even publicized in the newspapers, because for the betterment of the mankind, the survival of the mankind, we initiated, we helped the people, and very happy to mention one thing. On the way to Daulatabad or Maliwada, one place is there, the tribal people were staying there. We identified those tribal people, and there were 60 to 70 number of the children. We started nurturing them right from the food, teaching. Some of the teachers, retired teachers, also got associated with us. And those people, now if you go to Maliwada and see that particular location, you will find now every day the classes are going on, even while students are visiting there. And this particular initiative has helped to inculcate the of the PS College of Engineering. This was the initiative taken, and this is the requirement. Rather, if we have to come out of this pandemic, these particular initiatives is the basic requirement. Second important thing, if we talk about the another initiative, we could connect with One Smarter Incorporation USA, where we started the development center. So it is online. As and when it will be starting offline, the development center will be started on the premises. With this development center, some of the students from PS College as well as from the Shigaon College of Engineering started learning on the cyber security and software development. Because the vision of this institute is students globally competitive. So in this 1.5 year working on the different projects, students could nurture themselves, make themselves employable and could properly utilize their time properly. So this was the initiative taken apart from the other initiatives which have been discussed by my colleague friends.
Right. Sir, it is really great to see that many colleges have taken the CSR initiative. Govind sir has mentioned about it. You have mentioned about it. So, sir, since this pandemic, we have noticed that the students, the behavior of the students have changed. So, I would like Nilesh sir to comment on this question. So, sir, what were some of the major behavioral changes that institutes have observed amongst their students during the pandemic, especially during the assessments or lectures?
I would say only one major change what we could observe, and that is fatigue. Fatigue of digital teaching learning process. Initially, for the first phase of pandemic, say for first 3 to 4 months, there was great enthusiasm among students as well as all of us, in fact, to go online. Many students, many faculty members, they were registering for newer topics, newer webinars, newer subjects, going online because it was an easy thing to learn new things. In fact, many things were also available freely, otherwise which would have been had a very high cost. All international quality sessions were available freely because everyone around the globe have understood that there is a need to get everyone on board, irrespective of the country or whatever. So that interdependency was greatly realized by most of the people. And because of that, many people have come forward to support everyone who is in need of support. And therefore, all these subjects, webinars were available right from not only from Coursera, NPTEL, SWAYAM, but also from many other foreign universities. And so there was a great enthusiasm, urge for using this digital advantage for adding value to themselves. But then after 6 months, what we could see is there was little bit fatigue among everyone. Fatigue attributed to this different way of learning, this different way of teaching. Although it has got its own advantages, we were not acquainted, we were not ready for this. At least doing 100% of the learning through digital mode. These are the source. In second phase, we could find that. So that only I would say that behavioral aspect I could see, and initial enthusiasm and then going down the slope. That is my observation.
Right, sir. Sir, before I move forward, we have Dr. Ramkishan Pawar with us as well. Dr. Ramkishan, can you please confirm if you can hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Sorry for late because I was in another meeting.
It's fine, sir. So I would just like to introduce Dr. Ramkishan to our audience and our panelists. Dr. Ramkishan is the principal of Shreyas College of Engineering and Technology. He has a total experience of 25 years. He is a member of Board of Studies Mechanical Engineering in BAMU. He is also a member of Research and Recognition Committee He is a PhD guide in BAMU and DB82 in mechanical engineering. So he has 8 students are pursuing PhD under his guidance. He has published many research papers in national and international journals, and he's involved in placement of many students under Marathwada Job Fair at SVCET since 2015. Sorry. So, sir, I would just, I would just like to provide a gist about what we were discussing. So we were discussing about the behavioral changes that the institutes have observed in their students during assessments or lectures. So Niresh sir has shared his insights about this question. I would like to request Vijaya ma'am to add to this point.
Yes, sure. Very significant question, I may say. I am sure all of us have experienced behavioral changes right from family level to the level of society. In academics, as a teacher, we have observed 3 phases of changes in our student. When I mention 3, because initially during the first phase of sudden lockdown, our student did take it as a vacation. Initial 15 to 20 days, we have observed them taking the advantage of such disadvantageous situation. Plus, online mode thus invites some scope of not being attentive, disciplined, etc. However, after going through the assessment process, students started getting involved. This is because we made them realize that the parameters of judgment have been changed to one's understanding, learning approach, and communication skills, etc. When I say communication, we were expecting some kind of assignments and different assignment submission also. Simultaneously, we geared up our teacher guardian scheme. Raghav sir already mentioned, because each and every engineering college is having their teacher guardian scheme in place. But this scheme has given a right time or right chance to work here. We take care of emotional imbalance, behavioral issues, and paid more attention to our students. Now mostly the students are in the phase of acceptance and they are responding. However, what I have observed recently, they are now eager to join college back. And they are missing their peer group as well as extracurricular and co-curricular activities. This is my observation.
Right.
Over to you.
Right, ma'am. Very well, ma'am. So there is a question in the chat box. So I would like Govind sir and Ramkishan sir to answer, to address that question. So the Saurav is asking, in subjects like mechanical engineering or engineering in particular, where labs are necessary, how your colleges provided the quality education to students during pandemic? So I would like Govind sir to go first.
Okay, sir. The lab through digital platform, it is impossible to provide a practical exposure to the students, because during pandemic, it is difficult to give an hands-on training to the students. So we have created some video sessions. We have collected, we have made videos of the practicals in the laboratories, and that videos we shared with our students, and through that, they are becoming aware about this practical exposure. So digital media is failing here, that digital media is not able to provide that is a practical exposure or hands-on training to the students. So we have, because of that, the classroom teaching is a very good option. A blend, that hybrid of this classroom with that is with a digital platform is required. We cannot absolute classroom teaching that is completely. So in the pandemic period, we developed some videos of our instructor. There is one instructor in a workshop, if we have to perform taper turning jobs on lathe machine. So at that time, our that instructor that he performed the experiments on that machines, and the steps are there enlisted there, and through that steps we are provided our that steps and that videos to our students through this digital platform. And we ask some questions also to them, the cognitive type questions, analytical type questions to the students, because it is impossible to interact with the students at college, because how we have to conduct the practical sessions there. So we have given some questions to them, and we interacted to the students related with the practicals through Google Meet and Zoom. So we are using these platforms, and in this way, during this pandemics, we have handled these practical lab laboratory experiments and this.
Right.
Over to you, sir.
I would like to know your thoughts on this, Ram sir.
Yeah. Good evening once again to all the panelists. Definitely this pandemic affected a lot, but we find definitely new opportunities and new ways to go ahead. Definitely online teaching, theoretical teaching is possible, and definitely some problems, challenges for practicals are there, but we find the ways for that. And we have already tie-up with collaboration with IIT Bombay, that is for virtual lab. And under virtual lab, many practicals are recorded there, videos are there, simulations of the practicals are available on the virtual lab. We have the collaboration with that, and through that, many practicals in civil engineering, mechanical engineering perform, electrical engineering, electronics perform very well. Along with that, what we have done, Dagesh sir rightly said, that our faculties perform the practicals. Some one or two students was possible living in the city also visited the campus, following all the precautions of the COVID, and we have created the videos which actually perform the practicals in the college, and its recordings uploaded on the Moodle, its link on YouTube, and that is shared to the students. Definitely that is found very useful along with the virtual lab. This is one thing. Another, assessment of this practical is very important, because sometimes students may not understand what practicals is going on, whether they understood it or not. For that, we have to give questions, objective questions on every experiment to know whether the experiment is understood by the student or not. So these questions or tasks on the practicals definitely involve the students who are doing the practicals. So depending upon this, definitely students are going to understand very well the practical. Definitely challenges are there, but we found the ways in this way for conducting the practicals. Yes, sir. Thank you.
That's great, sir. So, sir, being a student, I believe that conducting the exams for us during the pandemic was the toughest job for the institutes. So, because ultimately we would go on the Google and copy paste the answers. So, what I want to understand from Santosh sir, Nilesh sir, and Abhijit sir is, sir, what are the changes that could be done to the exams and assessments to adapt to this digital learning?
Yeah. So assessment is very important, and for that, because we are conducting the class tests, mid-sem examinations, and all assessment online, and through MCQs, multiple choice questions are there, and for that we have to give the timetable, and through the link should be provided with Moodle. Moodle is a definitely open source learning system available, LMS available, and that limits the timing also. Extra time will not be allowed. We can block the link. If we found any suspicious activities, we can block that link also. Or if you want to restrict some students, it's a timing that is possible with Moodle also. So assessment and examinations are done with this Moodle open source system available, and we found it very suitable for the conducting examinations, and automatically we are getting the results and we can go ahead with this. Yes, sir.
Santosh sir, I would like to know your thoughts on this.
Yes. I believe that the examination and assessment is the thing which drives the student learning. In fact, the quality of the questions that are being asked definitely impact the what kind of things that the students learn. And I still believe that the multiple choice question doesn't address many of those issues which can be addressed by the writing in the examination, because the level that is expected in Bloom's taxonomy for a higher level understanding is possible through that only. So this is one challenge definitely that is there. However, still for actual teaching learning, as we are finding out many different ways, particularly all the institutions are finding out the ways and means to conduct the examinations and the evaluations. In our institute, we have the ERP system, Juno Campus software is there, through which we could conduct the examinations in pandemic as far as the class tests are concerned. Of course, the end semester examination was conducted by university through online mode, as we were operating in affiliated system. Now from this year onwards, we will be operating in autonomous mode, so we will also have to conduct our own examinations and devise a system for that, so that the better quality examinations are being conducted, maybe proctored examination wherein the students are not able to do something else, and also they are able to write actually, even if it is the online mode examination. So that will be a thing which we are planning and we are thinking in autonomous mode of our institute. Over to you, Priyansh.
Right, sir. Sir, I would like Abhijit sir to share his thoughts on the same. Abhijit sir, you are on mute.
Yeah, as far as in our college, we have one software called as ER has been developed by our faculty and students. As far as the continuous assessment and the internal examinations was conducted, where whether it is a subjective or whether it is an objective, the selection of the whatever the questions or whatever are there will not be the same for every student. It will change randomly. We have to just upload the question bank, and accordingly, as per the students who log in into that particular software, as per that they students will go on getting the different answer. It is a proctored exam. Second important thing, as far as the university examinations are concerned, the university examinations, since we are affiliated to Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Technological University, were conducted proctored. It was a proctored exam and was conducted very effectively. The results were also declared in time. This is one of the important things which I would like to mention. It was the first university who conducted the examination without any problems. So this is one of the important things which I have really feel to mention. Second important thing, as far as the method of the assessment. Now, as you said, Google wouldn't just whatever the objectives are, putting it into Google and getting the answer and filling it.
Right.
The option for this, what I feel, is the open book system is the best. Being a technological institute, here we have a design problems. Just give a problem to the student and just they can have an open book examination and just upload their answers. So that will be the most effective way of doing the assessment of the student. The student student will also go through the book, will try to find out, give them ample amount of time, a day time, ask them to upload the answers. So definitely, I would say the most appropriate method of assessment, which I feel, even if this pandemic continues, colleges do not start, the continuous assessment procedure will be started in my university.
That's really great, sir. I would have just closed this question and asked a different one, but since you have introduced a new concept, is the open book examination, I would like to ask Nilesh sir about his thoughts on the same, sir.
Yes. I completely agree with Dr. Abhijit on this part. But the major challenge in open book is the design of the question. So even if book is available, the student should have been learn earlier the subject so that he can easily employ that book for the purpose of finding the answer. So design-based questions is need of the hour, because AICTE is also promoting open book examination, and open book examination will only be able to test the students' abilities. Because otherwise what we are doing is we will only testing the memory of the student, the capability of memorizing the things. So open book will definitely improve the quality of engineers coming out of engineering colleges. But then faculty should design the question in such a way that the student should be challenged. And that challenge, to address that challenge, he or she should be supported with the help of literature or books. But then, actually, in MCQ, I agree with Dr. Bhosle as well, that MCQ based have their own limitations. So subjective examination is a good option for examination of the student. It inculcates the habit of writing, it inculcates the thought process, the thinking habits, and that is the necessity as per not only Bloom's technology has already elaborated all these things, but to become an engineer, to communicate what you know, to communicate what is the problem, to communicate what solution you think of it. It is essential that the examination should be subjective in nature, and maybe some part can be objective based, some part can be quizzes, and we have also undertaken all these activities. As Dr. Abhijit has said, that Batu has conducted the examination in proctored way and very effectively. Assessment was also very effectively conducted in a very short period of time, so that last year students could get out of the institute even at the earliest, I would say, before any other students coming out from any other universities. But surely, as you have told, that open book, I welcome open book examination. But for that, we need a lot of preparations. We need a lot of things to be done at the mindset level of student, teacher. Because I tried open book in 2017. I tried it for the internal assessment part. And to some extent, it was successful. But it is related to mindset, basically, I believe. And that is, if we could do it 100%, definitely it will lead to next level of learning for all of us. Over to you, Priyanshu.
I would like to add one
That's
thing
really
here.
great, sir. That's really.
Shall I add
Sure,
one
sure.
thing to you? What I
Yes,
want
sir,
to
surely.
say- Yes. So we have two types of assessment: formative assessment and summative assessment. And as both my predecessors have rightly said, continuous assessment is definitely a great tool for formative assessment, and through that you can know whether student is really understanding or not, and that too particularly what he has not understood. So if you know about it, what he has not understood, then you can take some corrective actions before he appears for the final end semester examination. And definitely open book examination can be a great tool here, because in classrooms, anytime you can take the class test, giving one question and asking them even to refer their notebooks or books. So that is very much possible.
Right. So one thing we all agree with is that open book examination is the future, and we will see more open book examinations in nearby. So since Abhijit sir mentioned about CSR initiative, like their institute used to teach the tribal students, Professor Govind sir has also mentioned the CSR initiative. So what I would like to understand is, like, due to pandemic, even student has faced many problems, some financial problems, and pandemic was really tough on them as well. So I would like to ask Vijaya ma'am, ma'am, what did your institute do to ensure that students do not face such problems? They do not face the financial and emotional problems, and how did they cope up with it?
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
As I have already mentioned in my earlier answer, that these teacher mentor schemes have helped us in understanding students this kind of problems. And at that level, I can say at individual level, when it comes to a teacher guardian, we have tried to solve, and that was collectively given to our higher authorities. So in this situation, as I have mentioned already, online learning as well as students who were facing the financial problem, they were given different kind of support through our alumni network also.
Right. So alumni inclusion is the ultimate thing
They
that
have helped us a lot, as I mentioned. They have helped. Management has taken some initiatives as well as alumni.
So there is one question in the chat box that I missed out previously. I would like Professor Govind and Dr. Ramkishan to answer this. So Saurabh is asking, sir, how higher education will look like after this pandemic?
After this,
Professor Govind, I would like to.
yes, sir. After this pandemic, after 5 years, this education, higher education contains the choice of subjects. Means a number of subjects, means electives are increasing. Advanced subjects, they are in university, they are with the industry. The advanced technologies now days is going on, so more number of electives are coming into existence, and after 5 years, in Aurangabad, the education scenario for the higher education is, it may be about the project-based learning. It may be about experimentation based learning. Some of the examination patterns may change. It may converts into group projects, or that examination patterns may convert into the online quizzes, group discussions. So, and the classrooms will become after 5 years, that classroom will become a smart classroom in Aurangabad. Means ICT based classrooms will be there. You will see after 5 years in higher educations here. So over to you, sir. Priyanshu, sir.
Hello. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So my views on this point of discussion: higher education will be definitely as per the new education policy 2020. And what changes are required? Already Batu and AICT is going to follow it. That as per students' interest, student can opt for major degrees, minor degrees, honors degrees, or multiple entries. We can say multiple entries are possible as per new education policies. If some students is having interest in dance, music, or any hobby he is having, and he has taken admission to engineering, but he want to go with his hobby also, so that will be also possible in the higher education. Already new education policy have stated about this, your information about this, and AICTE and BATU are working on this. Even I would like to say one subject like NCC, National Cadet Course. Already yesterday only that unit is sanctioned for our college, NCC. That will be one elective subject for engineering or any of the course, and 100 marks will be 100 credits. Credits will be given of one subject to it also. So such hobbies can be protected if you are going for a particular professional course. This is one thing.
Right.
Another, definitely, being a online education, smart classrooms will be there, and there will be blending of smart classrooms or online classes, teaching, as well as physical teaching. There is no alternative to that. It is required, definitely. But blending of this and multidisciplinary branches, electronics with computer, mechanical with electronics, or computer with civil, electrical. So multidisciplinary subjects will be opted, and definitely advanced subjects like artificial intelligence, blockchain technology, and many emerging data science, many emerging areas already mentioned by universities will be introduced in this technical education particularly. So many of the changes will be there, definitely. Over to you.
And I would like to add something.
Yes, ma'am.
This digital learning, because of the pandemic, earlier what we have vision, our university has the vision of going on digital platform or blended learning. Initially, we have seen some kind of resistance from few kind of branches, we say, or from the senior professor for this online mode of teaching. But because of this pandemic, everyone is now in touch with them, and they are very friendly with all this digital mode of teaching. And definitely in this pandemic also, this is the one which have given us the advantage to follow our blended learning approach in future. So what I have observed, I would like to share with example of my department. One of my students, day before yesterday, came to me, ma'am, in this lockdown, I have completed on Coursera courses regarding networking. So if I can get, I am planning to be a system manager. If I can get an internship opportunity, now in our BATU curriculum, they have mentioned 6 month internship opportunity. My theoretical concepts are clear. I want to go for hands-on. In the college, Central Computing Center itself, if I get the knowledge of hands-on, practically if I can do the things, will it be helpful for me to achieve my goal? So this is what we were said, yes, because as they will definitely get that time. Otherwise, we used to educate them theory, we used to teach them theory, and then they used to come to practical and they used to perform. But once they are now on this online platform, we teacher as well as students are exposed to the same kind of learning material, and if they can get their concept clear online mode, they can come and utilize the resources, that teacher resource or a practical resource effectively for their research work or for their innovation or hands-on, what we say project-based learning, problem-based learning, and we are using this word. For this, we need the theoretical part to be completed, and practically they can work with the teacher and with the other peer group. So this was the advantage of this pandemic of digital learning, and this digital learning have made us work with digital, and now we are ready to in classroom to go for blended learning.
Yeah, right. Since Govind sir and Vijay ma'am has mentioned about Coursera and certifications in their answers, so I would like to ask, how has the EdTech sector, the education technology sector, and its company help the mainstream education institutes like this? I would like to ask Santosh sir to share his thoughts on this.
EdTech companies have surely played their role in bringing technology platforms to the institutes, and we all are aware that we are using different platforms. Every institute has its own choice for going for the platform for conducting the lectures, and even the practicals are possible sometimes. Definitely, they have played their role. What I would like to say is that many a times the platforms that are available in the market for different solutions that are available, those are the costly solutions many a times, and many institutions may not be able to go for it. But however, as far as lectures are concerned, the platforms like Zoom, Team, these platforms are very readily available and they are cost effective as well. Yeah, the students are definitely getting benefit out of this online teaching and learning process. That is what I want to say in this. Over to you, Priyansh.
Nilesh sir, over.
Yes, I agree with Dr. Bhosle. In fact, we have been using Teams, then Zoom, Google Meet, all these platforms. And in addition to that, what we could see is during the first half of the pandemic, Coursera was there. So many courses were available freely for the students. Then NPTEL was available. So all these EduTech platforms were available for the students as well as institutes. We have subscribed to Microsoft. Therefore, Team was available for all the lectures, even practicals. I miss one thing. May I share about conduct of practical impact? I remember that in the month of April 2020, we had a meeting at Batu. Honorable Vice Chancellor Dr. Shastri was there, and in that meeting, almost the meeting took 6 long hours. And in that meeting, we were discussing how to conduct the practicals and laboratories. And all these things, that is virtual laboratory available with IITs. So most of the institutes, I believe, are partnering with the virtual laboratories. Some of our teachers are also, they have developed virtual laboratories which are placed on the IIT portal as well. And at the same time, we have also conducted live practicals. That is, our instructor as well as teacher, they are in camera, they were conducting practicals, because Saurabh has asked very important question as far as mechanical engineering practicals are concerned. May it be manufacturing practicals or heat transfer or IC engine or fluids or materials. So the instructor was used to conduct the practical, and in camera students were learning, and at the same time video were also made. So it was all outcome of the meeting we had for 6 long hours at the Batu, and we could use it. But there are 2 important things, because in last question also, Madam mentioned about blended learning. So see, digital is only used for imparting knowledge, but skill may not be acquainted, skill may not be learned by digital platform. That may be possible in computer-like branches. However, it is not possible in branches like mechanical engineering, civil engineering, and the branches where we need to make our hands dirty or do it by doing it by our hands. So in that, there is no option than to going to laboratory and conducting the experiments on our own. And engineering is meant that only, because even if today people are talking about AI, machine learning, and many other things, ultimately systems will be either mechanical systems or they will be electromechanical systems supported by softwares and chips and all other things. But ultimately all the work done, the energy transfer, all these things will be attributed to what mechanical or electromechanical systems are going to do. So understanding of those systems is essential. So if we look forward after 5 years of higher education, I will limit myself to technical education. And I'm really worried about many people going for AI, and many people going for CS, and many people going for machine learning and those things. I agree that these are the need of hour. But then we all have to understand that the fundamental systems, the fundamental engineering, which is highly connected to science, if we don't have people working in those areas to the greatest and deepest level, then we will again be only robots. So making of an engineer is essentially required. So I believe that in real sense, the core branches are also important. And so I'm looking forward to Aurangabad after 5 years, for example, higher education limited to technical education. If you look at Aurangabad, it is a town which is situated and surrounded by many industry in Aurangabad. Many of the industries are exporting to major multinationals abroad. There are many multinationals in Aurangabad. So there are great opportunities for people, those who are staying in Aurangabad, to connect with industry, to evolve their students, to make their students capable engineers, whatever may be the branch, because things will be flexible in future. Because every technology has come to a level where you cannot survive without collaborating with some other technology or some other domain, because everything has come to a level that alone they cannot progress further. So engineering graduates, if they really want to survive, sustain and thrive and grow, they need to be master in one of the domains, and then they can collaborate with others for development of products. And if they are not capable of giving new solutions and products, they may not be adding any value to the marketplace. And in that case, they will not be relevant. So the major challenge is we want to make relevant engineers, those who are capable enough, mastered in their domain, core domain, and then adding some value by learning some new subjects and at the same time collaborating with others. So that is the key of because see, although pandemic has taught us to learn online, to go digital and all those things, but then ultimately the fundamentals remain same. As we all have learned that in any case you have to play with straight bat. So the basic building blocks are important. If they are not good, then nothing will help. So I'm hopeful that our NEP is also going to address all these things, and the role of we people, those who are in education, especially in leadership position, we also have to look appropriately at all these things, and the students community, they also need to understand that without the fundamental building blocks, they may not be, because there is possibility that after 10 to 15 years they will become irrelevant. So the need of the hour is fundamentals, and then learning and then collaborating with people, and mindset of solving the problems. And one more thing I would like to add, if you permit me. No, one more thing is, if we talk about higher education, I consider engineering education as a general education for future. Because in earlier days, engineering education was considered as a professional course at some high-end requirements, high-end programs, for example. But in today's technologically driven society, engineering education in future may be need for everyone. So everyone will have to learn some engineering and then go into any of the domain of his or her own interest. So everyone should be an engineer, and then he or she can go into any domain afterwards. But graduation level engineering is must by incorporating certain programs like arts, dance, languages, communication, literature. All these humanity courses can be added, social sciences, but core engineering and some social sciences, some arts, fine arts, etc. can be blended together. Then we can go ahead with making of real. I think that is the need of the hour, that more number of students to come to engineering as an option, as a general graduation program, I would rather say.
I would like to add to Patil sir.
Yes, sir. Sure.
Because as per new education policy, definitely blending of the subjects with technical as well as social will be definitely there, or as per their interest. talking about Aurangabad, compared with other cities, Aurangabad is the center of the Maharashtra, being a historical city. And most important is that here is an industrial hub. DMIC is working on this Delhi Mumbai Industrial Corridor. Automobile hub is already there. Electronics hub is going to develop, and IT also in Aurangabad. So many multinationals are coming here, and taking into consideration point of safety in the pandemic situations also compared to Pune and all Mumbai, definitely Aurangabad is more safe and convenient and fast growing industrial city. I can say more opportunities are there, and engineering colleges, but having collaborations with industries. We have made many collaborations with multinational industries, companies, and internships are going on. In the pandemic also, I would like to mention, our students are working in many industries, right? Because though lockdown period was there, industries were open. So our students went to the industries and done their physical internships in the industries. So this is possible in Aurangabad, and many industries are coming to the Aurangabad. So definitely this will be the best place for the engineering education in the future.
Yeah,
Right.
over to you. I would like to
Sir, yeah, Abhijit sir, yes, sure.
the thing is that the EdTech sector at the companies at mainstream, that was the question, if I'm not wrong, we were discussing. And definitely I would say the EdTech companies have helped the institutions, like some of them have mentioned about the Coursera. The another name which I would say is the Talent Spirit from Hyderabad. We are associated with that. And another one is the Intershala of the AICT, with whom each and every institute is connected. Another AICT has also provided a platform with an EdTech company where lot many programs are run on that particular EdTech company. Like AWS is there, Cisco Training Center is there, then what we say, the Blue Prism is there, then Red Hat Academy is there, and cyber security. So these many things are there on that particular. We have already, we are the members of that, and the students have taken the benefit. I'm very happy to mention, as far as the after the association in this pandemic organization, the student got the global certification, and up till now, say 76. It is my humble request. We are not only working for our colleges, the individual colleges. It is in the benefit of all our particular region students. So, if we have a collaboration, every institute has the Red Hat Academy, every institute has a Cisco Academy networking. But at one platform at Tech, if we get all the companies live, and then we can train the students and make them employable, I think so. Each and every student will become employable, because they don't charge a single price, not a single cost, because since their association is with the AIC. So we have made an association, we have got the results. Almost 76 students up till now in the last 1.5 months who have got the certification. Minimum, say about 3.5 to 4 lakhs package they have got in the company. Also the Intershala, very happy to mention about the Intershala. In the Intershala, we registered more than 2,000 students in this pandemic, and we got a rank of 89 in the zone, that is out of 356 institutions. And what we say, overall, what we say the rank at the India level, it is around 386. So here, yesterday only I got a report. One student got an placement for mechanical engineering. Why I am telling? Because nowadays students are going away from the core branches. They are opting for only the computer science and engineering. So it is equally important that even as on today's date, there is a huge requirement of the core engineers. If the students undergo these particular trainings of the software, the core engineering students will be more acceptable in the market as compared to the software. So here, these initiatives have definitely helped the institutions. Maybe some of my colleagues also might be associated with this particular edtech software, and if not, they should take the benefit of it. Everything is available on the ISP.
Yes, sir.
I would like to
really
add to this.
Yeah, surely, sir.
Yeah. So, as Dr. Abhijit sir has rightly said, there are companies like Inshallah, and they have definitely helped. In our institute, we are running the courses through NASCOM. They have designed very well courses, and those are definitely helping the students to learn the things of their domain. Some of the courses might be free, some of the courses are being charged, but those who are eager to learn, there is definitely a thing available for them. Here I would like to say one more thing. I'm taking it to a different perspective. What I want to say is that, and as an educational institute, what we are supposed to concentrate is what we are supposed to deliver. That must be clear to us, because students are not supposed to only gain the knowledge, but they are also supposed to get the skills as well as attitude while they are learning from you. So that is most important. I'll give you one example. For example, if you want to learn to drive a car, then there are videos available on YouTube how to drive a car. You can explain which is the accelerator, which is the brake and clutch, everything. However, unless the student learns himself physically how to drive a car, he cannot acquire that skill. Once he drives 50, 100, 200 kilometers, then that skill is better and better if he is in driving the car. Beyond that, if he drives the car for 10,000 kilometers, then also the attitude matters. If he is driving a rash car, then there can be accident. So same thing is applicable to every kind of learning. Be it a pandemic or not pandemic, online or not online, whether there are edtech companies or no edtech companies, definitely there is a need that students as well as we people have to understand that they are supposed to acquire all three things: knowledge, skill and attitude. Then and then only they are employable for the industry. And it is being proved by the research that learning is learner's responsibility and not the teacher's responsibility. We all know that Eklavya was not taught by Dronacharya, but he didn't stop learning. He made his own arrangement. So same thing is possible for all the students. If they decide to learn, nobody can stop them from learning. So that is my take from this.
So that was really an insightful answer, sir. So sir, this is going to be my last question of this webinar. And this is basically the most important question and most interesting question that I feel. Since like Vijay ma'am and Govind sir hasn't spoken since long, I would like to give them this opportunity. Govind sir, I would like to ask you, how will the education scenario in Aurangabad look like 5 years from now?
So, as we have sir previously discussed that most of the colleges available in Aurangabad, those are in the umbrella of the Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Technological University, and this Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Technological University is offering the BTech courses here. These BTech courses includes 6-month internships at the 8th semester of its course. Means there is seventh up to the 7th semester there will be curriculum based teaching is there, and after that there will be a 6-month internship. So after 5 years, the scenario of learning of education in the Aurangabad is that is a project based learning. It also based on the industrial whatever the advanced technologies available industry, or during the span of these 5 years, if there is an advancement of the new technologies in the industry, so that is Batu University, that focusing on these advanced technologies, and Batu is trying to adopt these technologies, and Batu is involving this technology into its curriculum. So after 5 years, there will be a project-based, industry-based learning will be there. It may be a experimental learning through experiments. So such types of, and already I have said that the classroom will these engineering colleges will become as a ICT based classrooms, that is smart classroom will be theirs. Means faculties are also becomes aware about these new technologies, and in this way the education scenario will be after 5 years in the Aurangabad. Over to you, sir.
Vijaya ma'am, your thoughts on
Yes,
this?
thank you. As Dage sir has mentioned that all other colleges in our panel discussions are under the umbrella of Baba Saheb Ambedkar Technical University. But in our case, as I am representing Jawaharlal Nehru Engineering College, a 30-year-old college, is now a constituent college of MGM University, a self-financed private university in Marathwada, first university in Marathwada region. So naturally, now being a part of a university, we have a deeper vision of invest and prosper in research. Being a constituent college of university, here we will be focusing more on our research, and we have developed our infrastructure. In last 6 to 7 years, we have developed the infrastructure, not only physical infrastructure, as well as our faculty are trained in that fashion, wherein we will be focusing in the learning as a part of a research. Here, I would like to add one of the unfortunate fact that China, USA, Japan have number of patents like 4 lakhs, 3 lakhs, 2 lakhs respectively, whereas India has just 13,000. Now, what is this patents and everything? Why we are lacking? Whenever we come across this, in our engineering so far in UG, PG, we are just focusing on teaching learning, but we will be in our MGM University, we wish to work hard to fulfill this research gap and develop the culture in such a way that it would be helpful to our immediate society and our nation. Our collaboration with Tech Mahindra, Makers Lab is the first in Marathwada region, as well as Apple Lab. I will say our collaboration with MSC Software, first in Marathwada region, where simulation software, e-vehicle, all this exposure in our IRC center will be given to our student. Not only to Genesis student, we will be extending this facility to Marathwada region. And this will be our contribution as a first Marath University in Marathwada region. This is all from my side. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
I would like to add to this.
So, Govind sir, yes sir, I'm coming to you only. So sir, Govind sir has spoken about the project-based learning in future. Vijaya ma'am has talked about the boom in the infrastructure in coming years and the patent learnings. So I would, since we have 3 minutes left, I would just like to ask you, what are your thoughts on this, and how will the education scenario look like in Aurangabad after 5 years? Santosh sir, over to you.
Yeah. As Vijaya madam has rightly said, most of the colleges are affiliated to Batu. Our college was affiliated to BAMU, and as MGM University has their own university, and their college DNC is constituent college of their own university. Similarly, as per the new education policy, it is a mandate that every institute has to become either autonomous college or university. So every college is taking steps in that direction. My institute has also become autonomous institute, and from the coming academic year will be functioning in autonomous mode. There are certain advantages of having your own university or your college as autonomous college. For example, let me say something about Unnat Maharashtra Abhiyan and Unnat Bharat Abhiyan. these are the flagship programs of Government of Maharashtra and Government of India respectively. We are part of this, and we have adopted some of the villages. Our faculty members and students go into these villages, understand their problems, and they try to give the technological solutions to these problems. So this is an extension activity that we are doing. But after becoming autonomous colleges, such initiatives we can bring into the curriculum so that the social aspect of the students are also developed apart from their engineering knowledge, right from the learning and in the college, starting the learning in the college to when they come out of the college. Similarly, we have taken some of the initiatives of starting some of the laboratories which are industry scale laboratories. If you come to my college, you will find that there is a big industrial shed which we call as MSIP, that is MIT Center for Industry Relevance and Polymer Science, wherein we have the big injection molding machines, CNC machines, VMC machines, and students can get exposure to hands-on on these types of machines. Even if they are not going to the industry, in college, these things can be made available. So this is going to be the scenario very soon within the next 5 years in most of the colleges, and I'm hopeful that in next 5 to 10 years, most of the colleges will be autonomous colleges and maybe universities, and they will have their own curriculum and will have the freedom to design their curriculum and develop such kind of things. So this was my take on this. Thank you.
So I would like to add 1 minute for this.
Yeah, surely, sir.
Because employment, a college, those can generate the employment, train the students for employment. That is skill development. That is important. We are doing definitely placing the students in various companies. That is a requirement of the students and parents. Definitely, we have to work on that, because maximum 100% students should get the placement. This is generally agencies are saying that employment is not there, students are unemployed, but this is not the fact. If you prepare the students, if you train the students properly, every student can get the placement. Other thing is self-employment and startup, because students should go for their own business, own industry, own startup, and Government of India, MSME, is promoting for that. At our college, incubation center is started. Under this incubation center, we have many testing facilities for the students. We guide the students, we mentor them how to go for partnership, how to go for industry, and how to select the product and business. So this, if happens in a particular college, instead of only teaching learning, if you guide them how to grow themselves, their business, how to become a real engineer in terms of their own entrepreneurship, then definitely we can go ahead and work.
Right, sir. So I guess we were missing the entrepreneurship in one of the answer, and you have just completed it. With this note, I would like to conclude this webinar. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in. This was certainly an insightful discussion, and just to summarize it, we talked about the issues and challenges that education space is facing, or was facing, and will face in nearby future, and how technology came to our rescue, the limitation of the existing facilities, and more importantly, how the technical institutes of India rose to this pandemic and continue to provide the quality education and experience that they are known to provide. So thank you so much, everyone, for giving us your time to speak to us amidst your busy schedule. We look forward to interacting with you again. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
sir. Thank you, Priyanshu.
Thank you, Priyanshu.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much.